Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 of creating a tutorial application in the HANA Cloud Platform. In part 1, we created our data source or our destination here. So we should have that configured now. In part 2, now we're going to actually pull up the web IDE and create the basic templated application. So first thing we'll actually go to is go to Services, go to the web IDE service, and then we will go ahead and launch the web IDE from there. And once we launch the web IDE, it might take a second to load. We're actually going to first have to enable a plugin in order to use the hybrid web application, which is what we're going to be using here. It's going to be an SAP 5 web application. So we'll actually go up here to Preferences, they're down to the Plugins button, and then you may have to keep SAP plugins on and then just search for hybrid and it should come up. There you go, the hybrid app toolkit. So just make sure this is checked and then hit save, and I think the IDE will have to do a refresh. Now that we have that toolkit enabled, we can actually create the basic application. There are two ways to do this, either from the home screen, you can click on the new project from template button, or if you're actually in the workspace, you can right click on the workspace, go to new, and then project from template. And from here, we're actually going to be creating an SAP UI5 application. So turn off featured to all categories. And then for me, it's the first one that comes up here. The master detail castable application is the one we're going to be using. So make sure that's selected and click next. And the project name, we're just going to go ahead and name this Northwind for now. And here's where we actually connect our data source or our destination that we created in part 1. So here we're actually going to be using a service URL from the sources list. And then your OData service should come up at that point. If not, there's a little drop down where should be able to select it. And here's where we're actually going to be putting in the relative path of the OData URL we're using. So from here, just that /v2 Northwind SVC. And then once you have that loaded, you can click on that little button to load the metadata to make sure everything checks out okay. And we can see all of our tables here, and it looks like everything did get loaded from the OData metadata. And so here's where we'll kind of detail some of the aspects of our project. We can put a namespace in. For this, I think I'm just using com.test.northwind, com.test.northwind. And then the master detail and information section, which if we click on this button, you can actually see a preview of the application here. The drop down on the left is the master section where it lists all our products and their prices. We actually also have a search bar up here. You can search for a specific product. On the right side, we actually have the details section at the top with the Vint soda and details right there. And then we have a supplier information section just below that where we can turn on and off that gives us the supplier information for every supplier of each product. So this is where we'll be kind of putting in the details here. A lot of these details we'll add by hand, but a lot are actually grabbed from the OData source as well. So you can see a lot of kind of drop downs here as well. So for our master section, we'll just call it products. And we want to make sure we grab products from the OData collection. And the search placeholder, the search details are just going to define the search bar at the top. So the placeholder, we'll just put search in there for now. We'll add the tooltip and then the field to be searched for. In this case, we just want to search for the product name. In the main data fields, this is the information that's going to be in the master field. In this case, we want the product name, we want the currency numerical value of how much it costs, and then I believe we also have the quantity. Let's see here, unit price. Yeah, the quantity per unit. So then we see the details section on the side. That's going to be where we want. We're going to have two specific numbers here, units on order and units in stock, as well as the name of the product that we've selected, and then all of the relevant details there. So you'll see here we can kind of put the name of the details section. In this case, we're just calling it product inventory details, and we'll put the units in stock and then the units on order as the two additional attributes. In the information section, this is where we're going to put in our supplier information. So we'll grab the supplier for each product that's selected, and then I think we're just going to capture the address, the phone number, um, and the company name. There, we can see again what it's going to look like. If we click next, at this point we can go ahead and just finish the template, and we should have a lot of pre-generated code for our project, and it will look a lot like how we saw in that preview right there. And now that that's created, we can click on the little folder icon, expand the Northwind project, see all the different pre-generated code that we can use to kind of save some time in developing this application. And so right now, if we click index.html and go ahead and click run, we can actually run the project right now and see how it looks. And you can see all the generated code here. And once it loads, you'll see we have, there's still some odd things. You can see the pricing is a bit off. It's rounded to 4 decimal places rather than 2. There's no currency sign. Our units in stock and units on order have no descriptions or no titles. So in part 3, we're going to be tweaking this a little bit, just making it a little bit more user friendly. But you can see right now everything works. We already have a working application in just a few minutes. Simply, you can type in at the search bar, search for any products, get all the details as well as the supplier details. So I'll see you in part 3. We're going to customize this a bit more, make it a bit more user friendly. And then in part 4, we will actually be deploying it and pulling it up on a website as well as through a mobile application. See you then.